And just, okay, he does have a sunroof, but he does have a plug, so that's good. And here we go, Adam Jabebe tuning in as Thorne goes in, and Talaska very low, and Thorne, he's riding up there. Talaska might have to back off a little bit, as he was definitely impeding in the line of Thorne, but he still navigates. I mean, this is a solid run here from Thorne.
Yeah, Thorne needs to put together a complete run.
And he has the advantage.
He does. Looks like he's over the finish line. That was a great lead run, Jared.
That was unreal.
You guys are so triggered right now.
We're
just enjoying listening to you,
We're
Jared.
having fun. This is less than ideal, so we're making the most of it. And I'll tell you what, Thorne put down one heck of a run, but right now Talaska needs to step up. Talking about on the bank. He's running that midline. Great angle right now. Let's see him drop down. And Thorne in that chase position. And there, that's going to be a wrap. Goes off course. Thorne continues. He does not need to, but Robert Thorne in his introduction in Formula Drift ProSpec will be advancing on. The crew is watching from Grid Life at Blackhawk Farms. Shout out to Stuart Jabay. Tom O'Gorman as Robert Thorne, ASM. He actually qualified higher than Dimitri Brewski, 6th compared to 11th, hence why he's leading. Here we go, Robert Thorne initiates into the bank. Thorne high on the bank. See a little bit of wavering there. Brewski dropping down low, so that wall tap, you can see him minus the bumper, the headlight. Thorne slams down. Brewski thrown off here. Brewski not himself right now, as Robert Thorne could be an absolute dark horse in the scenario here, taking down the two-time ProSpec champ, Dimitri Brewski
as well, and you can see that he was stumbling in the chase position.
All right, Brewski out front, Drift HQ, BMW, and the ASM, BMW. Both these guys running for that SCP Euro Cup. And Brewski, now he goes high. Thorne goes to the side. Brewski straightens out and goes into the wall. And Thorne continues on.
That was another interesting scenario, Jared. It looks like Brewski got his bumper into the wall a little bit, and Thorne bumped him a little bit. You have to wonder if that bump put him further into the wall, but
All right. All right, here we go as Vi-Strack and Thorne out front. His maiden voyage in Formula Drift competition, and Thorne in that ASM BMW. Smooth on that transition from the bank to the flat, over the hip. I mean, that thing barely just bucks in the back. And Thorne and Vi-Strack way shallow, just not part of that equation. Smiles on his teammates across the globe cheering him on. Vi-Strack, he's got to step it up. Gas factory, fill up that tank, baby. And Vi-Strack initiates. Thorne giving him some room, but is that too much? Vi-Strack goes into the wall. That thing's heading straight to County Line Auto Body. Richie, you got your work cut out for you. That left side beat up, but Thorne shuts it down, the yellow flag, and look at that. Here's the other portion of our Link Engine Management Final Four. Thorne out front, Hobson in chase position. Thorne, can he take it to the top? Can he make it to the finals? Hobson would love to rain on his parade. And now Thorne into that first outside zone. Again, only 3 years drifting, his first FE competition. Into that second outside zone. Thorne does exceed it a little bit. That would have been going into the dirt. You see him massage it there. One tire, two tires. Obviously, you're deep in it. Yeah. All right, just to clarify. Here we go, Ben Hobson out front. Robert Thorne in the chase position. Hobson initiates. Thorne, where you at, buddy? You need to show up. Hobson dragging bumper. Thorne now slides up the side. We are shredding some tail lines. Now that first inside clip off the bank into the second inside clip. Now let's see how Thorne handles this. All right. Man. Qualifying effort. And guess what? He's going against a rookie in Formula Drift overall, Robert Thorne. So here we go. Robert Thorne will lead the pack here in the AS Motorsports BMW, and a crazy initiation there, but it ends up gripping up and finds himself outside of that first outside zone. We both find that second outside zone. Now let's see, Thorne and Olson into that front clip, both of them passing by it, no problem. Into that third and final outside zone. Thorne goes in, Blake just a bit outside.
So like I said, Blake, really excited to see how this transpires for Olson or Thorne, who's going to move on. Here comes Blake Olson, who's having his steering issues, but there we go, initiating inside. You see Blake Olson, and Thorne tries to apply the pressure, but was that too much? You saw him have to back off. That TNVC CoralWorks BMW. Now looks like Thorne has found that pocket line that we so emphatically talk about, and going and cutting through the smoke. Here comes Blake Olson, that third and final outside zone. Thorne, you saw it kind of, it seemed that we'll see. So Thorne out front. So can only tell the future by looking at the past, boys. Here we go. A one more time battle between Thorne and Olson. Thorne initiates that first outside zone. Blake, gaining a lot of confidence there. Thorne into that second outside zone. Blake does not start, but then he gets into that second outside zone. Two great looking BMWs running for the FCP Euro Cup. Now transitioning through. Good job by Blake tucking in and through that smoke. Thorne does exit out of that final outside zone. That AS just pops, and it's really cool to see him back here in competition. And Thorne, just a newcomer, just excited. You know, just I think he's got a lot of grip drivers excited about. Look at that, Blake going for it. Actually taps his wing on the wall, it looked like. We're gonna have to rewind that and take a look again. Blake Olson, that TNVC CoralWorks BMW. Thorne back a little bit, but trying to gain that proximity. Great angle, even with those steering issues. But now transition in that final outside zone. How's Blake gonna go? Thorne. So very similar line. Thorne did have a straightening out there. Was that caused by Blake? Be an advocate and tell people like, hey man, I'm having a lot of fun over at Formula Drift. Come on, let's join the party. So speaking of party, here's Robert Thorne and Rudy Hansen. Robert Thorne, let's see how he handles that outside zone one, which is giving him a little bit of trouble, but no trouble here. Looks like he exchanged some green paint with that wall, and Rudy Hansen, he gets, oh my gosh, he is going wall to wall. Robert Thorne flirting with it. Let's see if he puts a ring on it and comes past that inside clip. Rudy Hansen on the opposite side. He is front row in a clinic. Let's call it Game of Thrones, not Thorne. Absolutely
do I put on at what point? How do I try to anticipate what the lead driver's going to do?
Exciting. Here we go. Rudy Hansen, Robert Thorne. Rudy Hansen out front. Little Manji entry, a little pre-flick flick into that first outside zone. Rudy Hansen doesn't exactly get the deepest on that outside zone one. Rudy now dials it in. Thorne backing off a little bit here, giving himself maybe too much room. Rudy Hansen hits it with that left headlight into that final outside zone. And Thorne loops it. And what? BMW E46. And here comes Hobson and Thorne. Hobson initiates in that first outside zone, fills all of it. Oh, fills more than all of it. Pete goes and exceeds, so that's where it gets difficult for Thorne to follow him. How does he manage that? And Hobson, big angle from him, tightens it back up. And now into that final outside zone, Hobson comes up short on that. Man, look at that wheel speed, the rhythm that could really impede on that chase vehicle. So I'm interested to see how Thorne does out front. If you want to solidify it, boys, you got to put down either a solid lead run or a solid chase run. Thorne initiates in that first outside zone. Good initiation by both the gentlemen. Now in that second outside zone, Thorne digs deep and allows Hobson to with a great chase position. But Thorne with a solid lead run, lead versus lead, chase versus chase. That final outside zone, aggressive flick. You talk about that flick and that transition in that lead run. Thorne might have some steering issues. We'll see if that's an issue. Here we go, TLO and Robert Thorne. Tommy Lemire will lead. He's your #1 qualifier. Can he make this a perfect event? TLO initiates in that first outside zone. Ooh, just comes in, then comes out. That might end up biting him in the end. We've seen how Robert Thorne has thrown down that gangster initiation. TLO gets a lot deeper on that second outside zone. Robert Thorne does have the proximity. Now coming, hits that inside clip. Now in that final outside zone. Tommy uses all of that final outside zone. And Robert Thorne swings wide. And here we go with Robert Thorne up front. Tommy Lemire, TLO, and the chase. Thorne had a gangster initiation on his previous battle. He does it again. Tommy Lemire might be fighting a steering box, but he's also fighting Robert Thorne. Robert Thorne, a little bit of wavering there in that second outside zone. Tommy Lemire, good chase position. Now let's see, I believe if Robert puts this properly, he could have the victory. And look at Robert Thorne. The search for the throne. GT3 sports car racing. And here we go, let's send it. Here we go. Brewski will lead. He qualified second. Thorne qualified fifth. Brewski in that Drift HQ. BMW initiates. Good initiation by Brewski. Thorne right there in tow. Pretty tit for tat. Thorne, a little bit of hesitation there going to that second outside zone. He finally drops into it, gets into formation. Good job by him. Brewski now transitioning into that front clip. Thorne, great proximity. Good angle now coming in. Dropping into that final outside zone. Brewski a little bit deeper than Thorne, but we saw that earlier from 3P. He finished 12th overall in Orlando. Robert Thorne on his maiden voyage did really well, but now he's going against, again, the champion on his second ever FD round. Great initiation. Oh, looks like it ends up biting him just a little bit. Initiates, has to back. Oh, Brewski takes a shallow line. Oh, wow, look at this. Robert Thorne, as he goes wide, want to take a different look as far as angle of this shot. And now here comes Thorne into that final outside zone. And Brewski comes up short, and now look at this. Ryan, want to see that different angle from that, teammate Tom O'Gorman has been giving me a ton of insight, which is really just really fun to see a road racing kind of mentality applied to drifting. So Robert Thorne going against Casey Cole. Casey Cole, he's not going to let this points leader get away. He knows what kind of driving he's got, but oh, he goes way on the inside, he hits him, and that will definitely be Casey Cole's fault. So I think that might benefit him. He did have some contact last night with Casey Cole, having to prepare that back right suspension through the night, but he's feeling 100. Here we go. Robert Thorne deep into there, little landscaping, some brown cloud. We'll see if that comes into play there on that back half. Robert Thorne, look at that, drops that bumper right in. Oh, it does affect him a little bit, but I don't know if that was because of the wall tap or just comes unbound. And TLO now in that chase position. Haven't talked much about TLO, but look at too little too late. What's going on there? M-Spec vehicle, TLO. Tommy Lemire out front. Thorne. Here we go. He's going to initiate a late initiation. He's going to say there's a thorn in his side, but not the case. And Tommy Lemire putting the car right into outside zone 2, 3. Little correction there to massage it into outside zone 3. But Thorne having some trouble getting. Oh, and Tommy Lemire goes off course. And that was a whole car off track. Robert Thorne. This is the one more time battle. Inconclusive. It was 2-1. It was not unanimous for the one more time as Robert Thorne goes in that first outside zone. Derek Madison. This is his home challenge track. He wants to bring it and put it down for his hometown. Into the third outside zone goes Thorne. Madison got in a little late on that outside zone 3. Now into that final outside zone. Thorne does what he did on that last time, but not as deep, just barely drops
the chase position. That's something we've seen from Thorne riding a little bit inside on some of his chase runs, so he's going to have to push that car back into the right spot.
Here we go with Madison out front of that first outside zone, goes a little bit deeper than Thorne, and now into the second outside zone. See Madison and Thorne, pretty similar lines there. Like to see that proximity from Thorne. That's where he takes a little bit of angle out into that third outside zone. And Madison, Thorne spins out. And Derek Madison, D-Mads. So earlier we saw that with TLO. Is definitely an Abanhi fan. He says, hey, take him out because that would just better his chances of winning the championship. This has huge implications here. Robert Thorne, an FD rookie coming in hot. Big angle there. Abanhi almost mimicking it, but you can see him. Oh, wow. Look at that. I thought he was going to overshoot it, but he brings it back in all the way to the outside zone 2. Goes Thorne now into that inside clip. Good transition from him. Could be a little closer on the inside clip. Abanhi, you see him using all the course now coming that last outside zone. Thorne gets out there. And there we go. Look at that bird's eye view. You see Abanhi coming up. Being a wheelman, awareness is key. High speed entry. Abanhi seemed a little, and I know he's a little down on horsepower compared to maybe that of Thorne, but this is where you need to pull all of it out here. Final round, leave it on the track, 97 miles per hour. Abanhi gets into the gravel a little bit, flirts with the edge of the course, and goes way off course. And that's going to be it. That's going to be it, because here's the deal. Thorne doesn't even need to complete this, because once that lead car goes off course, that's going to be incomplete. Chase car does not need to finish out the rest of the course. But I'll tell you what, this is a good opportunity for him to practice against somebody in less than ideal lines. So I think that was the FCP Euro Cup, $10,000 cash going to the highest finishing European car running the SCP Euro logo. Here we go, Dimitri Brewski chasing down Robert Thorne. Robert Thorne initiates. There goes Thorne tight on that inside clip. Brewski swings wide. Brewski annihilating that first outside zone, and Brewski coming in tight here on that second inside clip. Thorne using all the course. And then Thorne into that final outside zone. A lot of gravel being thrown up there by Robert Thorne. Gonna have to see what went down. One of these gentlemen is going to take, dominate the lead. Well, not dominate actually, because I'm telling you, like 30 points. Here we go. So Brewski now out front. Robert Thorne. Again, Brewski going for his three-peat in the championship, ProSpec championship. Robert Thorne, a rookie in the drifting world. Now Brewski, good angle coming in on that second inside clip. Let's see how he handles it. You can see Brewski and Thorne baking in that smoke. Now into that final outside zone. Thorne needs to massage it out there a little bit, comes up short. The question is that enough? Number 1 qualifier, Casey Cole, the M-Spec vehicle. Here we go. Are we gonna see a new champion being crowned in Robert Thorne on his rookie year? Here we go. But right now, Casey Cole's out front. He gets the fresh air first. Casey Cole initiates into that first clip. Big swing around that first clip into the first outside zone. Transition to the second. Oh, a correction by Thorne. A correction by Thorne. Now bringing it into that second inside clip. We'll see how drastic or dramatic that was for Thorne. He dives in on the inside. Thorne. Casey Cole. Oh, and Cole. Looks like, he did cross the finish line.
Hitting that finish line cone and all that, but it caused him to straighten, and then he did go off. But again, the off course, not important, beyond the finish line.
So pretty much the first run is a moot point. Right now, it's about this run right here, 94 miles per hour for Thorne. So again, both these guys, it's a wash after that first run. Robert Thorne, is he going to be our champion? If he wins this battle, Robert Thorne of the ASM BMW will be our 2022 Link Engine Management ProSpec champion. He's got that one last outside zone. Casey Cole needs to apply the pressure. And again, feverishly watching Andy Haley and Derek Madison. Again, on that start line, here we go. Robert Thorne will lead all BMW battle. Remember, the FCP Euro Cup up for grabs. As here we go into that first inside clip. Into that first outside zone. Big angle there from Thorne. He's got to be feeling a lot of confidence right now. Into that second outside clip, we can see Elton, the Rocket Man, on the hood, or the roof, excuse me, of the TNVC BMW. And Blake Olson guaranteed a podium at this point. He is the highest qualifying driver of the Final Four, but here we go. You want to get that win, right? Here we go. Blake Olson out front. Robert Thorne, big angle there from Blake Olson, TNVC CoroWorks BMW. Whoa. Oh, looks like might have contact there. So, yes. Yeah, contact was made going to that first outside zone. I saw that trunk lift up by pressure from Thorne. And it looks like, I'll tell you what, our champion, you walked us through